There comes a point in life where you've got to take your foot off the gas, slow down, stop pushing so hard, stop striving, stop chasing. And for me, that age was 60. If you're in your 50s, 60s and 70s and you're still chasing the same lifestyle that you had in your 30s and your 40s, well, let me tell you something. In my opinion, you're in a trap. If that pushing and striving is overwhelming you and life is unfulfilling, then this video is for you. In this video, I'll share the secret sauce that enabled me to slow down and enjoy life after 60 and leave behind the pursuits of the things that I wanted in my 30s and 40s. Those things were left firmly behind in the rear view mirror. By the time you reach your mid-50s, and certainly by your early 60s at the latest, you should be reaping the rewards of all that hard work. By then you've probably been 40 years at work, carving out your reputation, your career, reaching the heights that you'd hoped to reach. And if you still want to push on in your 60s with that kind of lifestyle, then I think you're making a big mistake. After 60, it is time to slow down, enjoy the journey and enjoy the fruits of your labours. In early adulthood, I was conditioned into thinking it was all about pursuing more responsibility, more money, more stuff. Just pushing hard to get more and more of everything. I came from a fairly humble background. My father was an Irish immigrant who came over at age 17 to the UK and eventually joined the police force. My mum worked in the civil service as a secretary her whole life, and throughout most of my life, leading up into my teenage years, money was a bit scarce. So when I grew up and became an adult, I just wanted to earn lots of money and have lots of shiny things, a bigger house, more cars, the best of everything. Now that attitude served me really well. I launched my own business when I was 30 and I worked long hours and made huge sacrifices over the next 15 years so that I had a successful business. But that attitude to life, wanting more, is not something that served me well once I hit my mid-40s in particular. As many of you know, I retired after selling my business in my mid-40s. At first, I have to admit, I just took a break. I wasn't actually retired. But when I was 50, I made the decision to actually retire. And at the same time, I started working on my mindset so that I had a different attitude. So instead of pursuing things, I started to pursue experiences. Here's the truth. The only thing that you should be seeking more of after 60 years of age is time. More time to spend with your family. More time to spend with your friends. More time to indulge your hobbies and interests. More time to travel the world. More time to do the things that you enjoy, that you want to do. And if you think you need more time to spend at work and you're after 60, you're making a huge mistake. Time is actually ticking by incredibly fast. Have you not noticed that as you get older, time seems to fly? I mean, I don't know about you, but it just seems like yesterday when I was in my 40s and now I'm 64. Time is flying and time is incredibly precious. So please, I urge you, don't waste it at the coalface. Don't waste it at work if you don't need to. One of the ways I like to think of life is like a 90-minute football match, or if you're from America, that's soccer, with each of the minutes representing 1 year. So that's 90 minutes for a 90-year adult life. When you start to think of it like that, time becomes a little bit more precious because it's a sobering thought. As I said earlier, I'm 64, which means I'm now in the 64th minute of a 90-minute match. There are no guarantees that I'll get to 90 minutes. I obviously hope I do. The other day, for example, I visited my Uncle Archie on his birthday. He was 95. And yeah, I hope I make it to 95. But if I look at him, he's got an extra 5 minutes of time. So he's in that kind of 5 minutes over the 90 minutes. So yeah, that would be good. Although those minutes are not brilliant. He's not in the same shape that he was when he was in his 64th minute. like I am. So think of life like that 90-minute football match. If you've reached the 60th minute, you're 2/3 of the way through. You've got 30 minutes left. What are you going to do with that 30 minutes? Are you going to stay working, or are you going to start making plans to do something else? Something much more enjoyable than work ever could be. Think again about that 90-minute football match. You've reached the 60th minute. How much energy have you actually used up getting there? I don't know about you, but I used up a lot of energy. I would say through 30 to 50, it was hard going. So you reach the point where you have to start slowing down. Now, the good thing about life is that it's not exactly like a football match. It's not about winning. So you don't have to push yourself all the way to the 90th minute to get a result. You can actually start taking your foot off the pedal a little bit earlier so that you can actually get to the 90th minute. That's the whole idea. Reach a point in your life where you take your foot off the pedal, slow down, and your chances of reaching the 90th minute go through the roof. I actually think that somewhere around about the 50th minute is a good time to be making that trade-off. Trading time at work for time to enjoy yourself and do the things that you couldn't do because you were too busy working. The 50th minute, it just sounds about right. But here's the problem. If you don't start making that trade-off after the 50th minute, there's a really good chance that you won't make it through to the 90th minute. You hear of so many people who drop dead in their 60s and 70s, and I don't know much about them, and everybody's circumstances are different, I know, but I wonder how many of those people worked incredibly hard and weren't able to actually reap the rewards of that hard work because they worked just a bit too hard and they were never got to see the end of the match. There is a consistent message in many of my videos, and if you've watched them before, you'll know what that message is, but if you haven't, here it is. Nobody on their deathbed wishes that they'd worked harder. In fact, one of the top 5 regrets of the dying is that they wish they hadn't worked so hard. One of my favourite books is called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. It's by a palliative care nurse called Bronnie Ware. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to look up that book. It's well worth a read. In the book, she goes into a lot of detail about the 5 things that people regret when they die. And that one is right up there. It's actually number 2. Let me get something straight. Embracing slow living isn't about giving up on life. What it is about is changing your mindset so that instead of pursuing more material things, possessions, more awards, more careers, more responsibilities, it's about pursuing more things that will feed your soul and enlighten your mind. When you reach 60 years of age, you don't give up on life, you continue to have a growth mindset. It's just that your priorities need to change. 60 is a great age for that change of mindset, because at 60 years of age, chances are you're still healthy, you're still fit, and you've probably got at least a good 10, possibly 20 years of healthy life ahead of you. But what you don't want to be doing is putting those 20 years to use at work. Earlier in this video, I mentioned the secret sauce that had enabled me to embrace slow living and enjoy my life in my 60s. Well, here's the secret sauce: no ambition. I decided to ditch my ambition. I was no longer interested in pursuing the things that I had been pursuing in my 20s and 30s and even early 40s. There was a time in my 50s when I nearly got sucked back into that mindset. I started investing in small businesses. I started helping small businesses on an advisory basis, and I got sucked into some of them in a much more hands-on role than I really would have liked, and I very nearly slipped back into that mindset. One of the big changes that I experienced, and I'm sure a lot of you experienced the same thing, was when COVID came. That allowed me to just stop in my tracks and reevaluate everything. And it was after that that I fully embraced this new mindset of no ambition. As I've said earlier, I'm not talking about quitting on life. I'm just talking about changing your priorities and shifting to a different way of living that doesn't involve chasing things, but actually involves experiencing things. What are your thoughts? Please comment below. Have you already embraced slow living? If you did, how did you do it? Leave some advice for the other viewers. I'd love to know, and I'm sure they would too. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it has been helpful. If you'd like to find out more about the changes I made, you might want to watch this video next, which is why I ditched life goals after witnessing a shocking event on holiday. Thanks again. See you next time.